I've got to do these in segments. I just tried to put one that was too long on YouTube, and they rejected me. That's the first time YouTube's ever rejected me. Okay, talk about the midterms. What's wrong with the midterms? You know what I feel is wrong with it? What Fox doesn't tell you. Fox News. Okay, I just got back from Nashua, New Hampshire. It's 30 miles north of Boston. It's, Live Free or Die, New Hampshire. It's pretty interesting. You can see evidence. I like, the Live Free or Die thing. They bend over backwards. They don't require insurance up there. But it's real safe everywhere. They bend way backwards, making everything safe. A lot of stop signs where they don't need them and stuff like that. And, things out in the street, the meridians where you can't get over them, you got to go 4 miles out of the way to get in the restaurant, that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's like they might as well require insurance and have the seatbelt law. There's so much nuisance everywhere. But anyway, they're intellectual up there. I notice when you work at Domino's, you have brainy people. You work with brainy people. Where I didn't most everywhere else I've been, they weren't really. But anyway, I like that. Anyway, I was on the way back. My car quit on me halfway through Pennsylvania. I came back to Tennessee, where I lived most of the time. And car quit on me. But anyway, so I was stuck in a hotel for a week while I looked for another car. I had 230,000 miles on it. It had 5 things wrong with it, and 2 of the things stopped it from running. So I pretty much had to junk it. But anyway, so I had to junk it and look for another car, and I was watching a campaign ads, and David Bratt was the one that got in with YouTube. And I saw this, and it bothers me that, if people wouldn't believe negative campaign ads, we could stop the campaign finance system the way it is. Like Sanders talking about $27 a piece. Candidates would take $27 a piece, from the grassroots for negative campaigning. You get our sovereignty back. We'd have our one man, one vote back. Give the power back to the grassroots where it's supposed to be. But also, if people would not listen to negative campaign ads, and I listened to one up there, and a lot of people watch for, they sound like of course the election's over, but there'll be another one later. But if you see one where the sky is falling, they say that it sounds like the sky is falling. 9 times out of 10, there's some corporate interest they don't want you to know about. You say, if we put this referendum through, this initiative referendum, like the hospitals, makes the hospitals cheaper, or the nurses, none of them will, the nurses won't be able to handle it, the doctors won't be able to handle it, and, the sky is falling, this and that. That one came out of Boston. I don't remember it exactly. But Massachusetts had a bunch of stuff like that. There was a little, trying to regulate the AMA, get the prices down, and so they weren't waiting on so many patients constantly, 50 patients an hour, whatever they do to make more and more money and screw the public. And they had this big lie. But if people, if it sounds like the sky's falling, don't listen to them. It's probably a corporate interest that they're not telling you. They want you to shoot yourself in the foot. Well, anyway, I got back to Maryland, and just north of Maryland, and David Bratt's in Virginia. Well, he got beat. But she had 5 negative campaign ads in a 5-minute time period. And she says, well, David Bratt's taking campaign money to pharmaceuticals, and he's voted with the pharmaceuticals all the time. He gets a bunch of campaign money. I thought, if he's getting so much campaign money from the pharmaceuticals, how come he isn't running any ads? I thought, and they just run 15 ads, and they didn't say anything about $27 a piece. So, they're getting it, so isn't that a little bit like, getting on and preaching the 10 Commandments and then using the GD word 50 times. GD, just lost my camera went out of focus. GD, I just dropped my pen. And you're trying to push the 10 Commandments. To me, that sounds awfully hypocritical. And right away, unless I hear David Bratt's side of it, don't listen to a word they're saying. And I didn't, if he wasn't on, he wasn't taking much campaign money. I saw 5 in a row. Well, everybody sucked it up apparently because he lost. Like I say, Mitch McConnell got in there, with, he's a king of campaign finance. Well, it kind of blew up in his face because all the corporates are on the side of Nancy Pelosi and, keeping the borders open because they profit off open borders. They're trying to get the working class to screw themselves. The idea being that they open the borders, they keep them open, which campaign money's kept them open since 1980. And they're trying, and Trump's trying to close them. If they close them, wages go up. And that helps the Spanish race that's working here legally. That helps the black race. That helps people like me. And Nancy Pelosi, she's just a puppet of the people with campaign money. She had more that's how she's winning that. The only three people I trust, the Democrats right now, are Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, and Lieberman. And there's probably others besides that, but those are the only three I trust. But anyway, I guess that's all I have to say about native campaigning. Well, Fox News, they're not... I just heard a report about Fox News where they said that they don't tell you everything. Like they had a report on Ocasio-Cortez. They're talking about she didn't have enough money to live in Washington, D.C. Well, Fox News doesn't want you to know anything bad about Trump. Okay, Trump's, as far as draining the swamp, he's screwing up big time. He hasn't done it, and basically he's put two people in the Supreme Court that don't support campaign finance reform. What you got to do, you got to put people in the Supreme Court, and there was four of them. And Mitch McConnell, knew that if he blocked Obama, he could get, if he had one more liberal, he would have had enough to support campaign finance reform. The idea being then you put a bill through for campaign finance reform, and then the Supreme Court won't knock it off. And then while that bill's in, after it's in, you get a constitutional amendment, because if you don't have campaign money coming in, you have enough votes probably to get a constitutional amendment. That's the only way, and you have to get rid of the campaign finance corruption. But anyway, they had, let's see. But Fox won't tell you everything about what's wrong with Trump. I've noticed that Kyle from Secular Talk, I noticed he was on there recently and talking about how many jobs have gone overseas since Trump got in. I noticed Fox cut him off. Bab Buchanan was talking about the very same subject. I noticed all of a sudden it went black. They cut him off. They don't want anything bad about Trump. They had Ocasio-Cortez, and they're talking about she didn't have enough money to live in Washington, D.C. before she got into Congress. Is that it? Or she's in now. Or she couldn't afford the apartments. But that tells you something about the standard of living that's wrong with it. And so they started slamming her. But I think the reason they're slamming her, they don't want anything negative about Trump. Where Trump's messing up, he's got Mitch McConnell, who's a kingpin of campaign finance corruption. He's put two people in the Supreme Court to support campaign finance corruption. He's screwed up there. He's got the minority leader right now, MacArthur from California. He's in bed with campaign money. That's how he won it. The one that was from Ohio, I don't remember his name, Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan from Ohio. He's one that's a swamp fighter and is trying to stop the corruption. He didn't get in because he didn't have the campaign money. And that's how Pelosi got in. And basically, she has all the campaign money. And the main point I want to make about Pelosi, when she says she's trying, when she wants open borders, what she's really just a puppet of people with campaign money. And the working class, the job of the Democrat Party is to support the working class. And lowering their wages with keeping that borders open is not helping the working class. That's what Pelosi didn't tell you. Okay, I guess I made that point earlier. Well, anyway, I guess that's all I got to say on the midterms. And then the next subject, firing Sessions. Department of Justice. We all know what the word justice means. What I've understood, it means fairness. And I'm trying to think, how do we have a fairness in the country? And Sessions is the Attorney General when we have a swamp. And we have any proof. The public doesn't have. Every man, woman, and child should be totally freed of the suspicion that the swamp is a result, that the Trump investigation is not a result of the swamp fighting back. Well, in my opinion, if Sessions didn't get to the bottom of that, he should have been fired for that reason and no other reason. As soon as he recused himself, he should have been out the door. He shouldn't have been in there in the first place. I mean, think about it. I mean, you're Trump. He's trying to get in. He's trying to drain the swamp. Why do you put someone in the Department of Justice who's been in, I've seen his face in Congress, I don't know how long. Wouldn't that, ring a bell? Hey, establishment? But anyway, so that seemed to me, well, Trump, like I say, those are things that are wrong with Trump. His mistakes, he's probably quite a few others. But if I was going to go into a detailed report, I'd have a lot more than that. But that Trump isn't doing right. But he doesn't support trade unions either. He hasn't done anything about trade union strength. That's one of the most important things. That's why we had the standard of living we had in the 50s and 60s. We had strong trade unions. That was FDR that established that, as far as I know, and that's why we had such, the American dream. He was the one that really produced that. He set the groundwork for it back in the 40s, right after World War II, whenever it was, or during, I think. But he's one. If everybody should come back to life and fix things, if you just read what FDR did, that's pretty much what we need right now. That's my opinion. Okay, he's one of the best presidents. He's my favorite president, really, as far as what he did. Okay, and we got a swamp here, and from past experience, anyone who tried to get in and drain it got knocked off by the swamp. That means Perot, Nader, Sanders, Jerry Brown, so on. They all got, in one way or another, some tactic, one way or another. The corporates, they gave money to the Federal Election Commission, whatever they did. They gave money to the DNC, kept Sanders out. A bunch of dirty, Soros. There was reports to that effect that was on Judge Genie that said Soros had given him money. I'm not saying that I know he did. I don't want to get a libel suit. I'm just saying that Fox News, someone on there said he did. I might still get a libel suit, I don't know, but I think that clears me, I hope. Okay. Swamp fighting back. I like the Mueller investigation. Okay, has Sessions fired every man? Okay, Frieden, I already said that. Okay, Sessions need to be out of it. Mueller received large sums of money from the corporates. Okay, there was evidence that was on Fox News on Hannity. We know that Mueller received large sums of money from the corporates. We know that Comey received large sums of money from the corporates. That was on Fox News. We don't say why. We don't say what was in the corporate's mind when they gave Mueller the money. We don't know what was in Mueller's mind when he received the money. We don't know what was in Mueller's mind when he keeps the investigation going, even though collusion is not illegal and there's no smoking gun, there's no probable cause, there's no evidence anywhere that Trump did anything illegal, and it basically is violating the spirit of the independent counsel law, which says high crimes and misdemeanors, which Trump didn't commit any more than the man in the moon. But we do know that he received large sums of money from the corporates who want Trump out of there, who want open borders and profit from cheap labor and screw the working class. Okay. That's all we know. That's what we do know. We don't know why they gave it to him. Okay, and then Judge Genie had someone, and bugs me too. Judge Genie had a man from the Department of Justice that said that George Soros had given sums of money, and they investigated. Trump ordered investigation for the election tampering in the DNC that kept Sanders out, and like Debbie on Sane Progressive was talking and said, that there was a whole lot of election tampering going on. Basically had to do with, like I say, you walked in to vote and they thought you were a Sanders supporter, they'd have 101 ways to knock you off. One of them was you're too tall. No, that wasn't one of them. You spelled your name wrong. You had your name was spelled wrong. You had the wrong address. Anyway, they wrote the book on it, 101 ways to knock you off, to not let you vote. There's also other evidence. There's also a rumor on YouTube that one of the major social media companies had given reports had done surveys to find out who the Sanders supporters were and sent them to the DNC. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. But there were also two reports on national TV, and this was a major network, that said that they had closed some of the polling places where Sanders lived, and then in Rhode Island they had closed several polling places where Sanders voters voted, and it looked suspicious. That was on national TV, so I suspect that you put all that together, probably everything Debbie said was accurate. It wouldn't surprise me. Alright, well anyway, that's enough evidence that it's the swamp fighting back, that if Sessions didn't get to the bottom of it, he should have been fired. And Trump did the right thing by firing him. Okay, now Trump came out and he said the media is the enemy of the people. It's another thing that's bothering me. Mob versus job. Well, he's right, but it's the mob, but it's part of the Republicans too. When Trump says it's mob versus job, he says Democrats or the mob, and Republicans, more jobs. Actually, the kingpin of the mob is Mitch McConnell. And you notice that you got this last appointment. You had like 4 liberals. And if you had one more, he would have lost his campaign. He's the kingpin of campaign finance corruption. He's trying to keep it. That's why he kept Obama from appointing that last appointee. And he made the claim that, well, they haven't done that, you know, at the end of a presidential term since the 1800s. Well, it turns out there was one in the 90s where the opposition party paved the way for the other party to put an appointee through. And so McConnell's probably lying. Figueroa brought that out on one of his reports on CBS Face the Nation. He was probably lying about it, but that's why he wanted it, and that's why he pushed Kavanaugh through so fast, and that's why he was having a gay old time jumping up and down when he got him in there, because he's the kingpin. So the mob is partly the Republicans. It's not just the Democrats. That's where Trump's flawed there. Okay, the media is the people. The media is the enemy of the people, Trump says. Okay, he's right. I think he's right. You know that when that Jim Acosta came in there and they had that fight, and they had where they fought over the mic. The girl, the intern came by and tried to take the mic away from him. Jim Acosta reminds me of people. There's someone that worked at Danny's that was he's traded positions. He came up to Danny's from Tulsa, Oklahoma when I worked in Wichita. And they're arrogant. They think they own the restaurant because their parents are prominent. That's what Jim Acosta makes me think of. Is someone that they're the self-appointed GM of the universe. They think they own the restaurant. They're arrogant. They're condescending towards everybody, and that's the way. I don't blame Trump for throwing him out. Whether he had a right to, I don't know. Violates First Amendment, I don't know. But I don't like him. I say that. But someone with that kind of an attitude is like the worst person on the face of the earth, in my opinion. The most annoying anyway. Okay, what Trump should have told Acosta is that basically there's a skunk in the woodpile. I mean, here you are supporting a caravan, right? And you're saying, that there's nothing wrong with the caravan. I'm lying about the bad people that are in it, and this and this and this. And that's what Trump should have told him. But yet you're working for a corporation who profits from cheap labor and profits from having open borders, and at the same time, if those borders were closed, wages would go up. It would cost your corporation more money, but the Spanish race that's here legally, that came through the border the right way and are hard-working Spanish people that need the money and can't feed their families, will be able to feed their families now. And if you're coming in there and you're not representing yourself as having a conflict of interest or an ulterior motive or a hidden agenda with your corporation, then that's a form of fraud. You're presenting yourself as an objective, Walter Cronkite, David Brinkley type of reporter, which he wasn't anymore in The Man in the Moon. Where if he's working for a corporation, he's got a conflict of interest. If a corporation owns that media, and Trump should have brought that out. He should have said that that's a form of fraud. So it reeks of fraud anyway. And that's where Acosta's out of line, and where he had a right to be mad at him. And where the media, if they're part of corruption, and if they're trying to knock Trump off, because they want those borders closed, and they're trying to impeach him and get him impeached and keep his approval rating low so they can get in there with their campaign money and keep that wall out of there, they are the enemy of the people, because that wall means higher wages for the working class, and that's what the Democrat Party is supposed to be doing, and what the Republican Party is having to do, because they're not doing it. And Nancy Pelosi says she wants the borders open. She's just in bed with the corporates and their campaign money. She's getting a bunch of campaign money, and that's how she got the speaker job. All the campaign money. She's right in bed with them. But people should keep that in mind. Like I say, the only three you can trust over there, in my opinion, are Lieberman, Ocasio-Cortez, and Bernie Sanders. Those are the only three Democrats I trust. There's probably a lot of others. I like Cinnamon that just won. I'm glad she got in. I like the way she looks, for one thing. I hope she's probably married, so I probably shouldn't have said that. But anyway, but she sounded pretty moderate. She votes with Trump a lot. I think she's a good one. There's probably a lot of good Democrats in there now too. You know, those new ones that got in are probably a lot better. But Nancy Pelosi, in my opinion, is not one of them. She's as corrupt as McConnell and the one, you know, the minority leader that just won, the guy from McCarthy or whatever his name was from California. Okay, what else? Okay, I probably went over. Better quit now, or YouTube won't take it.